Of course, we all know kids are spending more time online or on social media than ever before, and it's impossible for parents to know exactly what is happening in all of those chats, texts, and searches. So the chance of them running into sexual content is greater than ever before. As parents, we want to know, where are our children getting reliable information about sex? Is that happening in our public schools? Well, this morning we're looking into exactly what's in the sex education curriculum in Palm Beach County to figure out just how much is left for parents to fill in the gaps. When it comes to sex ed in schools, how much do you think should be done by our teachers? Sean Sykes has 4 sons, aged 8 to 17. He believes sex ed should not start until the 8th grade.
If they hear it in school, they're going to want to go see what it is, right? But if you don't necessarily talk about it in school in that younger age, they're not going to really go and looking for it.
Dr. Rachel Needle says that assumption is not quite right.
And the truth is, parents want to think that children are not seeing this online and they're protecting them and they know what their kids are looking at, but you don't.
Dr. Neal is a licensed psychologist and sex therapist. She says kids will go looking for sexual content, whether teachers bring it up in the classroom or not.
They're getting it from peers, their older siblings. They're getting it from the internet. They're getting it from pornography, right? Do you want your kids learning about themselves and sexuality? They're watching porn. And that's what's happening.
And right now, kids are not getting much of it in school. Sex education is not mandated in Florida, which means districts don't even have to teach it if they don't want to. Since 2023, the curriculum districts do teach must be approved by the state. I went to the Palm Beach County School District's McKesson Center, which houses its education materials. What I have in front of me is the entirety of sex education for kids in the Palm Beach County School District from elementary school through high school. It's all in these 5 books. In elementary school, every 5th grader gets this science book. It includes one 4-sentence paragraph about the human reproductive system that basically says all females make eggs and all males must fertilize those eggs, and that's about it. There's no diagrams whatsoever. The next year in 6th grade, when they get to middle school, all students use this science book. It includes 1 page about the male reproductive system, 1 page about the female reproductive system, and a little bit about the menstrual cycle, and that's it. It's located all the way at the end of the book. In high school, there's a little bit more. There's this biology book that all students must take. Once again, it includes 1 page about the male reproductive system, 1 page about the female reproductive system, and then a little bit about fertilization. And once again, it's towards the end of the book. Then all students also have this book, Health Opportunities Through Physical Education. All students either take a HOPE class or they take a physical education class where they use this book, and it includes 1 paragraph under the Preventing Infectious Disease category, which says that all kids must remain abstinent or if sexually active, practice safe sex if they want to avoid getting an STI. That's a very small paragraph there. If you want extensive sex education, then you need to take the elective Human Anatomy and Physiology. There's plenty of sex education text there. But that is it. This is the entirety of sex education in the Palm Beach County School District. Dr. Needle says that is not enough, and a parent is generally not as good a teacher as they think they are.
So we teach children, these are your eyes, this is your nose, this is your elbow, but then come up with really silly and not accurate titles for what the genitals are, right? So we know that when children have accurate names for their genitals, right? This is your vulva, this is your vagina, this is your penis, that they are actually more likely to protect themselves, they're less vulnerable to sexual abuse, and they're more likely to be believed if they report it, because they know how to talk about their body.
So when is the right time to talk to your kids?
So that's a great question. The right time is always, right?
Do you think that most or all parents are equipped to teach their kids about sex education?
I mean, they clearly understand how it works, right?
But Dr. Needle says it's not that simple. And even if a parent is knowledgeable, it's next to impossible for parents and kids to have an entirely open dialogue about sex.
For a lot of people, they don't feel comfortable here, talking about these topics with their parents. And part of that is actually both society and the parents' discomfort often with the topic. So it's really beneficial to have somebody outside who has a specialty in this area.
Tough dad question. How do you make sure that your sons will come to you when they have questions?
So now I have 4, and they're spread out, and I have 2 teenagers, and that's probably the most challenging part of being a dad, is because I don't know. You just try to have a relationship with them. Growing up, the communication with them has to be there.
Yeah, and certainly, Dr. Needle agrees with that. The communication has to be open between the parents and the kids. Also want to note, certainly it's important for you as a parent to know if you think that what I described the Palm Beach County Schools is too much sex ed, or any of our public school districts. If you think that it's too much as part of the Parents' Bill of Rights, you can contact your school's principal and opt out of those lessons, and your child will be pulled from class on the day.
I'm sure a lot of us remember the lessons we learned in school about how to practice safe sex. Did you see a lot of that in this educational material?
Yeah, I grew up in the 90s, and certainly a lot of people worried about AIDS back then, and so there was a lot of safe sex education. Now there's practically really none of it in our public schools. In fact, it's a state law that schools must emphasize abstinence as the expected social standard. I did ask Dr. Needle if teachers teaching abstinence actually leads to kids being abstinent, and she says it really doesn't work that way.
No. What about the studies out there? Are they showing the benefits of sex education?
Well, I think this is a big key, kind of throughout this whole story. Whether kids are getting that information, reliable information from their parents or from their teachers, the studies are clear that the more knowledgeable a kid is about sex, the less likely they are to actually have sex. So the more knowledgeable they are, the less likely they are to become pregnant, have an STI, or commit sexual assault. I want to know what you think about how sex ed in our schools, about how much is going on there, and what parents should know. Let me know what you think by going to my Facebook page at Lincoln CBS 12.
That's an important conversation. Matt, thank you. Time right now is